Welcome to another detailing video of my E39 M5. Today we're using two of my favorite products, or one favorite product line, and that is Leatherique. We've got the Pristine Clean and the Leather Rejuvenator. So today I'm going to be applying it to the M5, showing you the full process. And before we jump in, I will give you a little bit of context as to why you'd want to do a process like this. All right, so before you do anything, I'm going to jump in the car here, but you want to just wipe it down very basically. This is a very basic express interior cleaner by P&S, so this is nice. It's easy on the plastics, it's easy on the leather. Just get the dust and kind of the grime that's kind of sitting on the surface off. I like to just do a thorough wipe with this and a microfiber. The rest of the car, you'll be using this Leather Rejuvenator, and I like to use these little things. You just apply it on, and I'll show you that. And then, of course, the very last step after about 24 hours is you will use this to clean off the leather. And I also use these to do that. Gloves are nice. And then this is good for anything like a seat belt that you want to just wrap really quick so you don't get any sort of product on it. So this is a nice little tip that one of my buddies, Garrick, told me if you want to prevent from something getting kind of funked up with the product. So this stuff is like a 24-hour application and a whole process. And you may ask, like, why would I spend so much time like massaging all the seats so thoroughly versus something like all-in-one or something like that? This is so much more work. This truly like lifts the dirt and the oils and all that stuff to the surface more than any other product I've seen or used myself. And it's used by the pros. It's not insanely expensive. And for like an older car like this car is over 20 years old, or any car that's over like maybe 5 years old that has any leather pretty much at all, I would say it's definitely worth doing one pass of this. So not only does this really truly like lift the dirt and everything to the surface, but it leaves it like very matte, like a satin and matte look like from the factory. So trust me, I'm spending many hours on this car. I did it with the other car that I owned. I've done it with the M3. So any car that has leather is 100% worth doing. All right, so before we get started cleaning anything, I'll give you kind of a raw overview of what things look like. Really the easiest thing to note would be somewhere like here, where it's very like shiny, glossy looking. Of course down here is a little bit beat up, so hopefully that'll clean. But what's nice about these door panels is that it is like the full leather package. So we've got nice stitching and things like that. The seat, of course, the driver's seat's usually the one that gets the most used. It just looks very dry. Looks dry, looks a little greasy and dry at the same time. This, we'll see how that turns out. I really hope it comes out really good, because I'd really like to not have to go through like a dyeing process and stuff like that for the leather, but we'll see. It'll give us kind of a raw slate to work with and see what the overall condition is. You know, especially the high touch areas, yeah, these are no good. So steering wheel, this is on the list to be replaced. I don't know if you guys can see, there is a crack like right here on the steering wheel. So that is on the list to be replaced. Probably with like an OE size or maybe a little bit thicker, but we will put it on the steering wheel. And I actually will do the dash as well. The dash overall is in good shape on this car. But you can see there is, I don't know if this is hopefully not a crack starting or anything like that, but having a full dash is beautiful. But of course you're dealing with the upkeep of it. So anyways, the rest of this is not so bad. This I will do. This is obviously an updated thing, but I'm not sure how much leather's in here. We'll still put it on there. And then of course we've got the passenger seat, which is in okay shape. Driver's is obviously more worn, but I want to show you guys in the garage kind of before we started out with this process. And one little last comparison, we see how greasy that is, and then we look at something like a rear section. This is like almost the same color as right here. So clearly if I can get the front one to look how this one looks, that would be really good. All right, let's keep this part short and sweet. Basic interior wipe down. You can vacuum it as well. Just want to get the light dust off, just because that's what I like to do. Yeah, see, like in here, It is wearing a little, but I'd like to not spread more dirt and dust around if possible. And then here's a little trick. I just go like that on my hand. All right, so one very important piece of advice here is you want the climate to be as pretty much as hot as possible. Today is over 80 degrees and I'm gonna let this stuff sit for about 24 hours. So you don't really want direct sunlight probably, so I will put the windshield deflector thing up in just a few minutes here once I'm done with the car. But I'm gonna let the car sit out for the entire day, pull it in overnight, and then wipe it the next day after about 24 hours. So. Guys, I'll tell you, the driver's seat is literally like soaking this up as we speak. So I'm just using my hand so it doesn't soak into the microfiber thing and just letting it sit until it disappears and then adding some more. You can do this every few hours if you want, but this initial application I definitely want to get really solid. The driver's seat's going to be the most work for you probably. So spend a little more time on it. The back looks pretty good, but I'm still going to do a full application. So the driver's just, when it disappears, that's when you know it needs more. This is one of the few times where you can actually put, you know, kind of glob it on until it disappears. These bolsters, the bolsters on any car, high touch area, in and out, any side. So I would say make sure you get these down here too as well, the lower section. Make sure you get these really good. I would, if anything, just put more, whatever you think you need, put more. This is just a very interesting process where, you know, you can over put product on a lot of parts of the car, but this is one of the few where if you have a little extra oil on it, it's really not going to hurt anything. You know, you have extra to wipe off later, maybe waste a little product maybe, but I would say you don't want to do this more than you have to. So try to just do it really good once. And then the hand method works because it doesn't soak into the microfiber you're using to apply it as much. So all right, so it hasn't even been that long, but you guys can see this area looks dry as compared to right here, more glossy. And we look at the back, more glossy here, a little less glossy here. So that is a easy indication that we need to put some more here. I mean, this is like dry after like an hour. Again, we're in a really hot climate, which is ideal, but you definitely want to load this area up again. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for the application. I'm going to let the car sit for the entire day, and then into tomorrow. Again, I will put the sunshade up just so the sun isn't directly on this dash here, but the rest of the car is tint, so that should hopefully make a difference. I reapplied this actually 3 times in the last hour or so because it kept soaking it up. See how right here it's more matte than, like, of course over here. I loaded it up a little more here, so I'll do another pass or maybe come out in a few hours and look at it again. But that's the way the car looks right now. Give it a solid 24 hours and then you guys will see the magic happen. All right, guys, about 24 hours later, I'm going to show you the interior of the M5. I parked it in the garage and it's approximately 84 in here, so still pretty toasty. And you guys will see the result 24 hours later. This is what it looks like. Looking closely, I actually reapplied this section of the seat and this section 3 times total. So of course I did my first pass and then I did a follow-up twice. So clearly this leather probably needed some more, even more than I put on, but that's as good as it's gonna get for this time around. And you look at the door panel, this section is a little drier than over here, so clearly probably could have used some more, but this looks very gross, slimy, gross, very sticky. The dash is pretty glossy, steering wheel obviously. So let me show you the back seat real quick, just so you can get an idea. See how the bottom of this seat is a little more glossy than like that driver's seat. So clearly the driver's seat needed some more on it, but I did 3 passes and that's as good as it's gonna get. So next step will be removing all of the oil. All right, guys, grab your pristine clean. I put a little sprayer on top here. We're just gonna mist the area. And I will use this, spray some on it. And then I dunk this in some warm water, like a 5-gallon bucket. Some warm water, halfway full. Mist a little more. I put a lot of product on this driver's seat, so I'm gonna use a little more cleaner than I would normally. So this is the cleaner. So a lot of the products have you other systems have you clean it and then condition it. This kind of does it almost the inverse, where it conditions, brings the oils to the surface, and then you scrub them off. It's so much more results for the time. I know you spend so much more time doing this, but it's substantially better. And I would say, you know, when you stop seeing funk is a good indication that you are ready to move on. What I would recommend doing is do each seat, work your way around the car, and then come back to the first place you worked and just do a final wipe down just to make sure you didn't forget any corners, that kind of thing. So we got the most of the oil off, and I really hope you guys can see this in camera, because in person this looks so much better. The leather looks so much more matte, like new. Of course we have our sort of cracking, which is age and use, and the high touch areas like this. The passenger seat's probably a good example because it definitely needed it, but it's not quite as abused as the driver's seat. This looks so much better. So you guys will be able to see the before and after, especially like this part looks so much nicer. Let's go in the back real quick. So of course the back seats are like, in most of these cars, they're pristine, no scratches or any serious issues. But before I call it a day or finish up fully, you'll see there's still some kind of oil or just like a little bit of water residue, moisture. What I like to do is fill this bucket up again with fresh warm water. So this is of course what the water looks like after you do the whole car. Fresh warm water with like a microfiber. We'll do a final wipe down with just some damp microfibers, which I'll do in just a second, and then follow it up with a dry one. All right, final product, guys. I am just dying over here. We got the door panel. A little bit smudgy still, needs to dry. Couple little spots, but driver's seat should look the same or better from what you just saw. Do a little close-up action of this entry area, you know, the bolster. What's nice now is that the leather is soft, so hopefully, you know, this process will help keep it from getting worse faster. Again, this needs some special attention to get a true refurbishment, but yeah, passenger seat looks really good. Even this area, this is definitely not real leather, but the pristine clean definitely cleans up areas beyond just leather only. The dash looks good, nice and matte, got some of the dust off. All right guys, so that's gonna do it for the Leatherique treatment. Again, you have to put in more work for this process, but it is leaps and bounds better than just a normal conditioner or other stuff that you'll buy kind of off the shelf or from a lot of detailing companies. So a lot more work, but substantial results. Any car over 5 years old, I would say do this at least once in your ownership, depending on how long you're keeping it. It's worth it. I would recommend it to anyone who has leather in their car, even if it's only a few years old. Again, I'm kind of beat, but thank you again for watching. I hope this helped you. I definitely would recommend it. Links are in the description. And I will see you guys next time.